And welcome to the Business Spotlight. I'm Patrick Dewar. Have a great show. My guest today is Jeff Pickering. Not only is he my own personal CPA, he's also has a master's in taxation, and we've done work in the past together on radio, and I've known him for a number of years. I highly recommend you stick around, because this show we're going to be talking about current taxes and then the things that you can begin to watch out for. If you're a business owner, you'll want to hang out. So with that, thanks so much, Jeff, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Pat.
I jokingly talked about the radio thing, and you know, we have to go in our radio voice on occasion.
No different voice. It's all one voice.
Well, I want to get into your story. We've done a lot of things in the past together, but our audience obviously doesn't know.
Right.
What are, I mean, tell me your story. How'd you get to where you're at?
Well, actually, I started off in college as a music major at North Texas. And after a while, I noticed that a lot of the musicians had a hard time supporting their family. So I got my undergrad in music, and then I got a master's in taxation. And I thought it would be a great way to support a family. And I find that I actually get to help a lot of people, too. It's a great feeling. I
believe that. I know that one of the things that was a lot of fun is listening to you answer questions on the air when we were on, KLIF in the local area, and that was a lot of fun. But when you look at some of the things that you're doing for your clients, right now we've got major tax changes. What are some of the things that you're doing that's a little different than maybe some of the other CPAs?
Well, the main thing that I like to think that I do different is I like to plan way ahead. So I know the last time we had these rates was around the Clinton era, and we saw how tax people responded to that. They came up with new products, some of them strategies that were later sort of didn't work in the courts, some shelters that didn't work. So we're looking ahead, and we're looking at broad strategies to help people keep more money for themselves. And, frankly, with these rates going up, it's going to make more sense for some people to start into businesses, because it's going to give them a greater incentive to get into business and take a risk, because they can either give their money to Uncle Sam or reinvest it in themselves. So we'll see more businesses being started in this period.
Okay. Is that something that you would recommend that people do, is get into business for themselves? Or, I mean, what are a couple of 2 or 3 things that you are really encouraging your clients to move towards?
Well, whether somebody gets into a business, it's very personal. It's a personal decision. I know there are some people out there who should definitely not be in business. They want to get a paycheck. But I can tell you that the kind of person that should be in business is a person that wants options, a person that likes to be in control a little bit more. We all know that the more options you have, the better off you're able to survive the changing economy. So that's the kind of person that I would recommend to start a business.
Now, don't you predominantly, I know in your business you have about 80% of your practice is referral.
That's
but
right.
How much of your practice is entrepreneurs and company owners?
Well, it's about revenue-wise, about 50% entrepreneurs and companies, and the other 50% individuals. So we're lucky enough to. I probably helped start about 50 businesses last year, and that's about what I do every year. So people come to me, they want to start a business. We give them some free consulting. Last year, in the Dallas Fast, actually it's the Dallas Fast 100. It's an awards show put on by the Cox School of Business for the fastest growing businesses in the DFW area. I had 3 clients in that award ceremony.
It's really nice.
Yeah, I was actually invited. I was invited by one of my clients to sit in their section, and I met my other 2 clients there too. So the fastest growing businesses. I was probably the only CPA with 3 businesses there. I like to see our clients grow.
I wouldn't doubt. If you were to talk to some entrepreneurs, because the Business Spotlight, our audience is going to be business owners, solopreneurs, C-level, managers that make decisions.
Right.
What would you encourage them to really make sure that they're taken care of right now?
Well, right now, I find that I mean, you can do things immediately, and with the things that are in front of you, you can focus on what's right in front of you. But the trick is to focus on things in the future. And right now, of course, you have deadlines, you have tax stuff. Most of what we're doing right now for our clients is just reporting what we had already planned. And some of the stuff was planned 2 years ago, 3 years ago, some. So we're just, putting the stuff, all the pieces in place for stuff that was already planned. So the main thing, I mean, it's easy to sit there and react, but the best thing you can do is to not react and to look ahead and to try to plan for the future.
I know that's going to be a real, well, I'll just say it'll be a real adventure as we look forward, because I know that I mean, our government has basically doubled its what I call sales force for taxation. In other words, the IRS has hired a lot more people, and so Jeff Pickering has some great answers to help you kind of stay out of the doghouse with the government. This is the Business Spotlight. You want to hang out for the rest of this. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Business Spotlight. My guest today is Jeff Pickering, Masters in Taxation, PickeringCPA.com. He's been a good friend of mine. He's done my taxes for a number of years, and I have to tell you, I'm thrilled to have him on the show. Jeff, thanks for being with us.
Thanks again, Pat. It's a pleasure.
Now, what's really fun is that you are kind of a buckaroo banzai in what I know of. You're not. Is it an oxymoron or a paradox? You do one world is no risk CPA, but you're also a jazz musician.
That's right. Whenever they let me out of the house, I get to play jazz. So I play upright bass, and I have a lot of fun improvising. And I've always believed that the ability to improvise somehow helps my tax mind. I don't know exactly where the connection is. I'm sure somebody would like to do a study about that somewhere, really. but I really feel it helps me.
Well, I want to get into some of the things some of the other things that you guys are doing. You do so many things, like corporate taxation, individual tax preparation. You already said 50-50, corporate to whatever, to personal, but yet 80% of your business comes in from referral. So
That's right.
You're obviously doing a lot of things right.
Yes, our clients, they continue to grow every year. We've experienced a lot of growth. There are 10 of us now, and we keep growing. So I'm happy to give people clients, and excuse me, I'm happy to give them service, and they keep liking it. So that's how we're growing.
That is outstanding. Mark Hardy, thank you so much for being on the show again. And
good to be here.
It's always good to have you, because you're the PR specialist. You're the guy that knows how to get the attention of the rest of the universe. So.
Well, Jeff, listening to that earlier segment, my ears perked up on one particular topic. So I have a burning question.
Okay.
And here it is. You mentioned that your accounting firm, your CPA firm, had worked on 3 companies that were in the Dallas, I think it was Fast 100.
Yes, that's right.
And so my burning question is, how did you let the world know about that, or have you?
I haven't. I only, you got me. You got me, Mark. So the only time I actually let people know that is if I have a client that's in the same kinds of businesses that those people were in. I try to put their minds at ease that, hey, I'm not a risk as far as that goes.
My first reaction when I heard that is, I look at how many CPAs and accountants and people bookkeepers are in this area. You know, we're in one of the larger cities in the U.S.,
Right.
and to have that distinction is very impressive. And I like to refer to, there are 4 R's that any business needs to be successful, and one of them, and probably the number one, is reputation. And you can, what's the word? Participate in what's known as a halo effect, because your business is now associated with a business that a third party has recognized as being successful. And so one suggestion I would make is, if nothing else, you know, add a news section on your website, because these are the things that really, as you said, on a one-to-one setting, make it easier for somebody to choose to hire you. But now people that come to your website, you can immediately establish that credibility.
Great. It's a good point, and I'll take your advice, Mark.
Well, one of the other things is now that we're in Houston as well. You know, we've got Dallas and Fort Worth. We got Houston airing the show every week, so it's really great there. And then we, of course, put it out on the internet. Are there any other things that Jeff can do?
Well, I mentioned the 2 R's. One is reputation, the other is reach. So part of the show, what we like to do before, you know, we have a guest on, is we do our online intelligence. You know, we Google you, and we look for things, we look for trends, we look for opportunities. And one of the things we like to add value for our guests is underappreciated assets or under-optimized assets. So one thing that I saw is you have some reviews, positive reviews, but not all reviews are created equal. In fact, there are some reviews that are more positive for Google. And I noticed that if you search for the term Dallas CPA, the #1 person that comes up only has 5 reviews, 5 Google reviews. I've seen some companies that have as many as 50. So with a little due diligence, you could actually, you know, come up in the rankings and really broaden your reach in terms of the type of people that are looking for the type of service that you provide.
That's also a good point. You know, I actually don't know much about this area myself. It's funny, I'm a business person, but the accountants as on a whole are kind of slow to adopt, and I will put myself, I'm guilty of that sin.
Well, you know, this isn't about showing what you haven't done. You know, we're also talking about what you have done, and the most important thing is you have a foundation, and you have these things, you have these relationships, and you have credibility. You know, one of the things that I think we're going to be talking about in the next segment is your radio show, how you can leverage that to again build your authority. So, you know, I've dealt with clients that, you know, we were really kind of starting from nothing, and you have those assets. It's just a matter of optimizing them.
That is really great. Well, as you can see, we're talking with Jeff Pickering. He's done radio. He is a CPA in the DFW area. If you're in Houston, I know you can call him up. His information's on the screen. This is the Business Spotlight, where Jeff Pickering is telling his story today, and so can you. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Business Spotlight. I'm Patrick Dewar. My guest today, Jeff Pickering, PickeringCPA.com, DFW area CPA with a master's in taxation. Jeff and I have a long history. We've done radio together on a terrestrial radio station here at KLIF in the DFW area. But if you're out of the area, you'll want to connect to Jeff because he really knows his stuff. Jeff, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Pat. It's nice to be here. It's my first experience doing this kind of thing, and it's different than the radio.
Yeah, we don't have to hide our voice. We can actually talk normal, huh?
That's right, but we do have to dress up.
Yeah, it's like you know, they told me I had a face for radio, and I went, I'm gonna do it anyways. So the big thing is that during this segment, we're talking about who's your ideal client. And then how, because 80% of your clients come from referrals, how can you use social media? Kathy, thanks so much for being on the show.
Sure, thank you.
Kathy Brandon will be talking about how you can amp up your social media and get even more impact. So
Right.
who is your ideal client?
Well, my ideal client is usually a business owner. Not always, but it's strange. The more money a person makes, the more I'm able to help them. And so it's, you know, there's just some kind of proportional relationship. So if you're making, if you're a business owner, or if you just have a, you know, we've got a Facebook millionaire, and we're able to help him a lot as well. But generally, business owners we help, and people who are what I would call wealthy.
Nice.
So,
So I imagine probably a lot of financial planners like to connect to you.
yeah, they do. We don't do any financial planning ourselves in our office, but you know, we like to keep track of who's who in the financial planning world and be able to refer out.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. In fact, I have a financial planner who's been on the show that I'm going to introduce to you, and so, Kathy, what can he be doing to amp up his social media?
Well, you know, I love the story about you being a jazz musician. Social media it can be really complex for people, especially for CPAs. And you're absolutely right. CPAs are a bit of a late adopter.
That's us.
Yeah, you guys want to, you know, wait and let everybody else kind of test stuff out. It's not a bad way to be.
Well, you know, in some ways it's not ideal. I mean, always waiting for somebody else to be the pioneer, so sometimes you don't reap the rewards.
Sometimes it's not bad. You know, industries out there that are not CPAs, that's their job, is to be the frontier. So I like CPAs being a little bit more stable, so no problem there. Now what you can do is, because you have such a stellar reputation, because your clients are being cited as companies that grow, there are two things that I found that you can do immediately, like as soon as you get back to your office.
Okay.
And you can actually have your staff do it. It's not something that you have to do. There's one for your staff and one for you.
All right.
The thing for your staff, we'll talk about that first, is your old radio shows. You can get those transcribed, and you can immediately take those radio shows, get those transcribed, and that's immediately blog articles that you can push right out to your social media. And that's a real quick and easy project, because you answered questions on the radio from guests.
Right.
That is solving problems. We talked about that earlier. That's solving problems like people want, like consumers want. They want to go to your blog, they want to see your social media, they want you to solve problems. The second thing that you can do is, whenever you're going to play jazz, post it on Facebook.
Yeah, I should.
Let us know where you're going,
I
because
should do that.
you know, we want to know the artistic side of our CPA. That makes you even more delicious.
Well, thank you. That's you know, as I said before, it's something that actually I think helps me in my tax world. I don't know. Maybe it's the way of looking at something, or being able to approach something in a different way.
I think so. I know a lot of technical folks that also have an artistic side, and it's the same thing. It really helps them come back into such a structured environment and maybe have a new look at it. So you're probably an even better CPA because you have this artistic side of you.
Okay, well, let's tell that to my wife, so she get to play more.
Yay!
There you go.
Tell her it's marketing for my business.
marketing,
I have
that's
to go
it.
play.
Well, is there one or two little tips that you could throw out to try to make sure that the business owners are really tackling right now?
Well, you know, we just had this fiscal cliff stuff, and you know, right now you need to, you know, this stuff wasn't actually signed until I think January 1st in the wee hours of the morning. So, you know, we've been dealing with two sets of rules. We need to take a look back at what you've done and see if any of the things you've done actually come into play with these new sets of rules. One of the things, you know, there's this 50% bonus was a big surprise for us. So some people are going to be able to take large advantages from this 50% bonus depreciation. So
Now, when you say 50% bonus, just to clarify, I guess they should connect to you if they want a clarification.
yeah, I don't want to sit there and talk about details
Right.
right now. We'd lose everybody.
No worries on that. I know that as we come into this last segment of the show, we're going to talk more about, you know, how to connect to Jeff and then what the process is that he walks through with each of his clients to make sure that they're taken care of. You know, the Business Spotlight, I'm so thankful that we're in Dallas and Fort Worth, we're in Houston, and then we blast it out on the internet. If you want to be on the show, you ought to call me. But we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. And welcome back to the Business Spotlight. My guest today is Jeff Pickering. Jeff Pickering is a CPA with a master's in taxation in the DFW area. Jeff and I have known each other for a number of years. We have actually done radio together. And so in this segment, Jeff, I want to talk about how somebody can connect to you and what the process is when you begin to welcome somebody in as a new client.
Okay, so the best way is to call our office, 972-378-5200.
And that's, I think, probably, there it is on the screen.
Okay, great. That number. Okay, that's the easiest way to connect to us. Also, Jeff at PickeringCPA.com, Pickering spelled just like on the screen, CPA.com. That's our main email. And, you know, for business owners, we give a free consultation. It lets us, you know, get to know each other, see if you like us, if we like you, if we want to do business together. So that's the best way to get things started.
Now, you generally every year you send me a questionnaire that kind of gets me organized, or at least my wife and I, and she probably more than me. I'm kind of a disorganized one.
Yeah. So if you want a free organizer, we'll send that to you as well. It helps people get organized, as you said, and it may keep you out of trouble.
Now, the shoebox is not the ideal method of delivery. I mean, we shouldn't just bring all our stuff and go here.
You know, I'm not really tough on my clients. That some people do bring in shoeboxes, some bring in cartons of stuff. Just know that if you bring stuff in, we're going to look at it. So, no personal stuff that you don't want us to see.
I'm not even going to go there. I would love to just tackle that, but I'm not. I'm going to leave that alone and go.
People bring in all kinds of things.
Yeah, so. I would not doubt at all. So, because this is going to be out on the internet and it's going to be out for a long time, I want to really deliver some value, some keys. Like if somebody's a business owner, this last year, there was some changes.
Yes.
There are probably 3 or 4 things that you could tell somebody that would be high value, that they better make sure that they have in place, that they bring to you or to their CPA.
Right. So you know, a couple of changes. I mentioned in the last segment a little bit about bonus depreciation, which is something to be aware that you may have had a bonus depreciation event, so you got to review your stuff. We have a couple of Obamacare taxes that are coming in, and you really need to take a hard look at what's going on in your tax situation to see if there's a way to avoid those, and there are some ways to avoid those. So there's the 3.8% Medicare tax and 0.9% additional Medicare contribution, as if it's your choice.
Right.
It's not your choice. So those taxes, their increases, they actually were planned in 2010, but now it's Obamacare is a ticking time bomb of tax increases, and one of the bombs has gone off this year, which is 2013.
Now, what about the estate tax? I know there was a transition, there was a change in estate taxes. That used to be that they anything over $250,000, and then it was like 0 for 10 years.
Right. The biggest change that we see for estate taxes is the portability of the unified credit. So that was a big relief to all the people in the estate tax area. Still, we see there may be a need for bypass trusts for asset protection purposes. So for those of you who have, who think you're out of the woods for estate tax, you may want to take another look again.
Well, I imagine that that's a huge change with some of the things that are coming there. Forecasting, you said you work with people for the next few years. Since you've seen this type of stuff before with the Clinton days,
right?
What are 2 or 3 things that they should be looking forward to planning for?
Well, the main thing is, with these big tax rates, we're going to see more scams. We're going to see some tax shelters that are going to pass muster, and we're going to see some tax shelters that basically are just going to be, disregarded, and they're not going to pass. So the main thing you need is if you're engaging in some of these transactions, because tax rates are going up, everybody's trying to get an edge and get an edge on the taxes. You need to have a second set of eyes to make sure you don't get into something foolish, and if you're getting into something, to make sure you're getting into something that's going to pass muster.
And to me, it's the old adage, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. The hard part was, I remember I have friends that were bitten by things that passed the muster on the first run during the Clinton days, but then got shot in the head to the point that there was leveraged taxation.
Right, yeah.
Do you think that's going to happen again?
Probably. Congress, they try to do things, but they forget big pieces of the tax code. And then somebody will take what Congress says and kind of twist it a little bit, and that's where people get in trouble. So I'm sure that as long as we have congressmen, you'll need some help trying to figure out what the heck they mean.
Which sends people to you. And how do they get a hold of you again?
972-378-5200.
Yeah, that's their phone. Just get them on the phone.
Right.
Get the ball rolling. Talk to them. Now, if people are in Houston or other parts of the country, can they still use you?
We have clients even from overseas.
Really?
Yeah, we do clients. I have clients in other countries that I actually haven't met personally. Would like to someday. So we can do a lot over the internet. And some people actually come to us from other international websites on the internet.
I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, I look at where the reach of the Business Spotlight is now, very much international. We're covering about 50,000 video links is how many we've got now. So we got a big reach. Okay. And so with that, I know that if you're a business owner and you want to get your message out, you should call me. You should talk to me. If you're a business owner and you need your taxes done, you should call Jeff. And this is the Business Spotlight. We'll see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel. We'll talk to you all then. Thanks again.